Hello, today my guest is Charlene. She is the founder of Everyday Coherence. Thank you for joining me today, and please introduce yourself and your company.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Jared, for having me here. Well, as you mentioned, I started a company called Everyday Coherence. So coherence really being the connection between mind and body, and the idea of it being when we practice it every day, it becomes our everyday. Therefore, everyday coherence.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I guess until you explain it, yeah. Can you share a bit about your role at Everyday
Sure.
Coherence?
Sure, absolutely. I am a one-woman show, so I'm the founder and the practitioner and all that kind of stuff. And it's definitely had iterations. It started out really as a way to, again, right, teach people to get out of their heads into their bodies to find that full connection, right? We very much tend to live from the neck up. One of my early clients dubbed it the floating head syndrome, especially before COVID when everybody was in the offices. It was kind of like that idea of like the head is this thing that moves from, office to office and boardroom to boardroom type of a thing. And then the body is just sort of this annoying thing that you might drag along and kind of forget about. So part of my mission was to teach people to really recognize, oh, wait a minute, I have a body. And actually, that is where a lot of the magic happens, the wisdom happens, the ability to reduce your stress levels when you start to pay attention to how the nervous system is responding in all of these ways. And so as I was building my business, I was like, okay, right, as they say, you need to find a niche. Of course, for me, I was like, well, everyone can benefit from recognizing that they have a body. But then also, yes, I get it within the business realm, especially at the beginning. Who am I trying to reach? And I realized that millennial burnout was a really big deal, a really big thing. And it just really connected to how I wanted to reach people, have them connect into their bodies, not be so in their heads. So I ended up choosing to really focus on burnout, prevention and recovery, which ended up leading to an editor from a publishing company, Quarto Publishing, reaching out asking me to write a book about it. So then all of a sudden I was writing a book about it as well. So I created programming and wrote this book really on, again, getting out of your head into your body and really learning how to reduce and manage stress for ongoing well-being. Because really burnout, I've been asked a while ago, I used to do a lot of podcasts and stuff, not so much, it's not so much these days. So again, Jared, thank you. It's nice to
Oh,
be back on the podcast scene. They said, why are you so passionate about burnout? And I'm like, I'm not passionate about burnout. I'm passionate about people living a joy-filled life. And burnout is very much one of the largest pervasive joy sucks of our current system.
I have a question about this because this I had an experience with an employee, and this conversation came up, and they are a millennial, and so at the time, so I sold that business, but at the time, this was just, I don't know, in the past 6 months, but she was telling me about how she was really burnt out. And I'm like, I go, you work 40 hours a week. Like you work the average. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're burnt out. And
Hmm.
so I didn't understand does this have anything to do with what you're talking about?
I mean, it definitely sounds like it. So, I mean, first off, when I hear 40 hours a week, right? It's like that has become, or that was the norm. And to some degree that is still the norm, right? And some people will work, especially founders will work 80 hours a week, and others will find ways to cut it down to lower amounts of hours with the same amount of productivity, because productivity experts, right, and research say that for the most part, most people are not productive for 8 hours a day. There's a lot of space in between where, right, rest is required, or just like you're kind of distracted and maybe like looking at your phone or whatever it is. And so, especially when you're distracted and not feeling very productive and available to focus. These days, right, the distractions are more of the, doom scrolling or, doing these things that don't necessarily rejuvenate you. And especially with just everything going on in the world, especially since COVID. But of course, before, it's not like suddenly everything was great until COVID type of a thing. But there have just been additional stressors that get continuously reinforced and sort of hanging out in the background as that noise of, right, of kind of the idea, actually, if we're talking neurobiologically, it's kind of that sense of I'm not safe, right? The nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, many of us, there's a lot of talk about that these days, fortunately, where people recognize there's the survival response, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, or more of the rest and recovery response. And most of us tend to be in the stuck on position of that part of the nervous system, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. And so that kind of continual kind of sense of being always on and not feeling like able to rest, or that wired and tired kind of a feeling, is because your nervous system is literally stuck on in the what's called the sympathetic mode, right? And so sure, maybe she's only working 40 hours a week, and that seems like, well, that just seems normal and what an adult does. But when the nervous system is in that stuck on mode, she's not necessarily getting the sense of relaxation after work, or being able to really, really turn off and say, get a good night's sleep. And so whatever's going on compounds. If you're able to spend more time in the rest and recovery mode, then that compounds towards sustainable well-being. If you're more in the fight, flight, freeze, fawn survival response, then that compounds over time, creating more and more of a sense of burnout.
Okay. So do you think then, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like that it's maybe more common with people that were growing up with all of this technology and all this stimulation? Is that, or
It very well could be. I think that's definitely a factor of it. I think also, though I tend to focus on millennial burnout, I think that most people in the world these days, I kind of look at burnout as a continuum, right? Like, sure, some people don't have any experience of burnout, but I feel like most people are somewhere in the most often always on kind of space. And then the other side of continuum basically is like adrenal fatigue and literally not able to get out of bed and needing to take a medical leave. So for the most part, I feel that most of us are somewhere in here, whether you're millennial or, an older generation.
I I was just talking about this the other day because I think right now I'm in sympathetic overdrive.
Okay.
I've just had a lot going on this past 12 months, but yeah, I think obviously I haven't had this checked, but I feel like my cortisol is high, right? And because I'll just wake up anxious in the middle of the night for no reason, right? I'm not anxious about anything, and um anyway, and yes, having problems sleeping, and but so what tips do you have for somebody to that's going through that to get out of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking. And yeah, I appreciate your acknowledgement and recognition of it, right? For you, of like, oh yeah, I'm in a sympathetic overdrive and I'm waking up with this sense of anxiety for seemingly no apparent reason, right? So I think first off, just recognizing that like these cues that your body is giving you truly are the wake up call to do it differently, right? And it can kind of be like, okay, great, but what's the differently? And some of that really is just seeing about starting small. First off, just noticing, how is the anxiety showing up in my body? Like, so for example, for you, Jared, when you wake up and it's like, oh God, middle of the night, I'm feeling anxious, just allowing yourself with a lot of self-kindness to go, okay, what is the physical presentation of anxiety in my body? And actually, Jared, why don't I'll ask you that right now. What happens like when you wake up and you feel the anxiety? What's going on in your body? Are you able to kind of recall?
Yeah, yeah. It kind of feels, well, I guess it feels like I maybe the best description is like I had a bunch of caffeine or something, right? Like I have, my heart rate has sped up, and yeah, I kind of just feel wired out of nowhere, kind of on edge type of feeling, right? Like,
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So acknowledging and recognizing that, right? Probably your heart's probably kind of like racing, maybe some other discomforts going on, and then like you were saying, right, just that sense of being wired and on. So one thing that you could do is first off, again, recognizing it and going, okay, my nervous system is kind of stuck in that on mode. So it helps to allow, right, the prefrontal cortex, which is the most developed part of our brain here, is very good at thinking and analyzing and, right, and kind of creating an understanding of the world. That I would say the problem with that is then it tricks us into believing that this is where we do all our problem solving as well. So we can, if we stay kind of stuck up here, we're not actually calming the nervous system down. So it's helpful to just tell the prefrontal cortex, yep, here we are, we're laying in bed, the nervous system is in this stuck on mode. I'm going to drop into my body and just get curious about that, about the feeling, about what the anxious presentation is, the physical feeling. And so you might, there's no one right way to do this, but as an example, you can like place a hand on your heart, maybe both hands on your heart, and just notice and be gentle and go, oh, wow, I am noticing that my heart is racing. I am noticing that my stomach feels a little uncomfortable. So kind of the I am noticing begins to create that coherence between the brain, right? Because as you're speaking, I'm noticing, and you could say it out loud or to yourself. Like if you're laying next to your partner, you may not want to be like, I'm noticing that my heart's racing. But you can speak it out loud again or inside, right? So that's helping the prefrontal cortex be like, oh, okay, we're talking, so therefore we're thinking, but we're also becoming very aware of the body, right? I'm noticing that my heart is racing. I'm noticing that my stomach feels a little uncomfortable, like a little grumbly or something like that. And then allowing yourself with a lot of self-kindness and compassion there. And even that can help to practice to start connecting to the body. It doesn't mean all of a sudden the anxiety is going to go away, right? But that builds that connection and that realization. And then something simple is inhale through the nose and then have a long exhale either through the mouth or the nose. A longer exhale actually helps to trigger the parasympathetic nerve nervous system response, right? So instead of being in the sympathetic, that the fight, flight, anxious place, having the longer exhale begins to help trigger the rest and recovery, the rest and digest mode. So I believe in really starting off very simple, especially when it comes to burnout. It's like, oh God, where do I start? What do I do? I don't want another thing on my to-do list. And so when we can just do something really simple like that of I'm aware that my heart is beating fast. I'm aware that my belly feels grumbly or whatever it is. And then really creating a lot of self-kindness around that. And then inhale through the nose. And then a nice long exhale and continuing with that.
okay, so something like meditation could be good.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely. Any form of meditation, body-based meditation is really nice. Like the ones where meditation where you watch your thoughts or try to quiet the thoughts sometimes can be again more neck up. So it's not that that's a bad choice of meditation, but really kind of more body-based meditations where you're paying attention to your body, mindfully observe, instead of say mindfully observing your thoughts, you can mindfully observe your body.
okay. Yeah, that's actually something that I used to do every day and
Oh,
haven't for quite a while. I mean, I used to meditate, just it was part of my
mm.
daily, but I haven't done that for quite a while.
Mm. Well,
So,
perhaps, yeah, this is your reminder to get back into that.
yeah, I think so. I think when you were describing all this, I was thinking how I don't make time for a lot of those things right now, right? Like things for me.
Yeah. Yeah, right there, you said it. Important to prioritize you amongst all the other things that you're doing. Because if you don't prioritize you, right, you steamroll through your day, and then right, and then you go to bed and have kind of a crappy night's sleep, and then you do it all, and then you do it
Right.
all over again.
Right. And I've actually, in the past, I've actually, you mentioned adrenal fatigue. I've had that twice. And, right.
Oof.
So it's, yeah, you think I would learn. But I guess when you're in, I guess sometimes I don't realize that I'm in that pattern again. Right. Like it's,
Yeah, it's a slow burn, so to speak.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy to get into.
Yep. And society and systems are really set up for go, 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 push harder, ignore any basically ignore your body and keep moving forward, and that is success. And fortunately, there's different people are talking more about it and realizing that there's different ways to have a successful life and or reach your goals. But really the old paradigm that still is in effect is that push harder, go, go, go at all costs.
Yeah. No, I like the idea of work smarter, not harder. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
how you do that, but
You're figuring it out.
that's,
Meditate, meditate. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about this. I primarily for myself do breath work and then offer it to my clients and stuff as one of the major aspects of being able to not just connect to your body but to release all of the accumulated stress and trauma and everything else that's been stuck in your body for days, weeks, decades, a lifetime.
I definitely know that I know breath work and breathing obviously is very important. And the reason that I know this personally is because when was it probably about a year and a half ago, and of course, where you already know some of my background, I would have issues with high blood pressure,
Mhm.
which we eventually figured out was from sleep apnea that I had, undiagnosed sleep apnea. But I was like, I don't get it. I'm exercising. Like, why do I have high blood pressure? And anyway, I found a device online that you put around your chest and you put headphones in and you breathe. It's just all breathing, and it's clinically proven to lower your blood pressure. Of just
Mhm.
all it is breathing. That's it's just breath work, right? That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's so incredibly amazing and easy to not realize and or forget, even if you know that our breath is such an incredible tool, right? It really is the bridge between mind and body, and it's our direct connection to our nervous system, to our unconscious, our subconscious, and then right, and physiologically the different ways that we breathe, right? Conscious breathing, we can either end up creating more anxiety, especially when you have like the opposite of what I said around the longer exhale. If you have a longer inhale, which a lot of people with anxiety, they've kind of done some sort of research and tests and found out that a lot of people that have anxiety also have a longer inhale and then a really short exhale, right? So it's like they've been training their body through their breath to create more anxiety. And so yeah, it's free, it's part of us, it's this amazing tool that we have at our disposal, so to speak, all the time when we can start to understand breath and consciously shifting and changing it for our physiology.
Yeah, it's crazy because you can watch it immediately like impact your blood pressure, right? Like in real time. That's how fast it how fast it is.
Right, quite the feedback loop.
Yeah. Well, what does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, well. I mean, I have semi typical days. My client work is Monday through Wednesday primarily. So I like to really like kind of have my work days and then my off days. I'm big on enjoying life outside of the office. And so I'll speak about my off days for the moment. I moved from New York City once the pandemic hit. Things started shifting. I had been living there for 9 years and loving New York City. And I still love New York City so much. I consider it my second home. But these days I live in the mountains of California, in basically in a ski resort town. So in the winter, I'm either downhill skiing or even between clients, sometimes go cross country skiing and make sure to hang out with friends and go dancing and really making sure that I have a robust life outside of work. Because one, that's really important for me, and that's how I can show up in the best way possible for my clients. And then it really is that practice what I teach, so to speak, around that. And I understand not everyone's going to want to or be able to choose a 3-day work week, but just that recognition of finding ways to prioritize in that way. Right now, of course, it's summer, so mountain biking or spending time in my art studio, different things, summer music outdoors, all that good stuff. And then as far as my work days, again, it slightly varies, but I work with groups and I do breathwork classes and breathwork groups. And then I also have one-on-one clients. So usually see maximum 6 clients a day. And that's actually like a very full day, because again, I like to have time and space between each one. And then I kind of pepper in the emails and the marketing and the admin and all that kind of stuff at different times throughout the week, whether that's during those 3 days of work or I will time block in between my fun recreation to do the needed business aspect of things.
Yeah, the fun part, huh?
Yeah, big on fun over here.
What that's a big move from New York to California.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is. Although before I lived in New York City, I was living my 20s and early 30s was basically like a ski bum lifestyle in Lake Tahoe. So even though moving from New York City to where I am now, it's kind of like coming back to a version of my life before that. And what's been really interesting for me is both New York City and where I live now feel so deeply like home in my heart that when I go back there or even think about there, it's a very similar feeling inside of my heart, inside of my body, inside of my nervous system, which is quite strange in a way because a mountain town at 9,000 feet above sea level and 7,000 people kind of full time, and then New York City are they almost couldn't be polar opposites for living at least in the same country. Yet, because of my relationship to each of them, they feel very similar in my body.
Wow, yeah, that that's a huge change. I
Yep.
think yeah, me and my daughter we like New York. We go often.
Mm.
One of my favorite restaurants is there.
Ooh, which one?
Yeah, it's the Grand Boucherie.
Mm.
Have you been there?
I haven't,
It's
but I'm gonna have to. I'm Jared. When I go back to New York, I'm gonna have to email you and say, "Hey,
that
send me that restaurant info."
yeah. There's two locations, but yeah, it's a French French restaurant, but it's really cool. It's all decorated like Art Nouveau,
Ooh,
which
yeah,
yeah, it's very I don't know, it's just very unique. But for me, it's not just food; it's the whole experience too. So, but anyway, it's a really cool place.
I love that.
What um what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Well, my current industry and focus, I mean, so I am a coach, but also a licensed like psychotherapist. And so I do see clients around all of that. But then my sort of main clientele and folks that I really love working with are fellow therapists around, right, around sustaining their own mental health through holding other people's pain day in and day out. And so I'm seeing an increase in stress levels and right in systemic ways of kind of managing for therapists. And I'm seeing a slow shift, but a positive one in my opinion, to recognizing the deep importance of self-care as a therapist, of really making sure that they're prioritizing themselves. Because I will, to speak generally, not about everybody, right? It's like therapists are naturally empathic and we're natural caretakers in their homes, right? So really kind of there's deep down in the subconscious and unconscious beliefs is I prioritize everybody else's needs before mine. And so there's kind of more and more of that wake up around the realization of, oh no, I need to prioritize my health and well-being in order to be able to help others and create that sustainable lifestyle as far as professionally, but also personally.
Right. Yeah, that's what I need to get good at. As a
Yeah.
what do you feel like that's impacted your business or growth strategy at all?
Kind of the increase in awareness and stuff like that. Is that kind of what you mean?
Hmm.
I would say a little bit, and I think some of my work is also kind of offering that as an option and kind of like recognizing and helping people remember, oh yeah, wait a minute, that is something that I might want to prioritize, or bringing it to the forefront. Specifically, I do a couple of breathwork for therapist type classes. So I have a monthly class and then I have a biweekly class, and they're drop in, and the monthly is pay what you want, the biweekly is $25. So the idea is like, just come and check it out and see what it's like, right? Because just like with all of this stuff, we can talk about the importance of meditation. We can talk about the importance of breath work and self-care and all that kind of stuff. And again, that prefrontal cortex knows that it's probably a good idea to do it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like having the experiential feeling of, in this case, a breathwork session where it's like, oh, wow, I haven't felt my body this deeply in maybe years, right? Or, oh, wow, I'm feeling the parasympathetic, the rest and digest mode for the first time in a really long time. So kind of just continuing, like, I feel like part of my work, and it was true when I was teaching about and writing about burnout at the beginning as well. Like you were saying, it's like it can be, right, you don't even realize you're in it until you're in it. And so it's like, how do I reach my clients before they've reached adrenal fatigue? So
Mhm.
some of it is just continuing to talk about it and remind us that, like, symptoms of burnout aren't symptoms of being an adult, right? I mean, to a degree, they're symptoms of adulting, but adulting in that like fast-paced society aspect of it. So yeah, just for me, it's continuing to help really continue to spread that word of like, how's your body feeling? How much are you in your head? How much are you in your body? Come and try out a breathwork session and see for yourself what it feels like to drop in. And then as therapists are laying there and they're having done breath work and going, wow, I feel so different. I can experience a level of, say, relaxation, but not just relaxation. One of the things I love about breath work is it's like there's a relaxation, but there's also like a motivation, right? From that level of relaxation, that sense of, oh, I actually can show up in the way that I really want to.
Yeah, that's a very insightful thing. I never thought of that. That's it's making me want to meditate again.
Good. My work here is done. Goodbye, everyone.
I'm like, oh, that could. I won't lie. One of my initial thoughts is yes, squeezing the time in,
Right.
right? And even though it's an important thing, obviously.
Well, what's kind of cool about that, I mean, it's interesting, right? Just even recognize a piece of, let me squeeze that in. Let me add that in as one or more like thing on my to-do list. And in a way, it's like, okay, if that needs to be how it is right now, then let it be that. But once you start to get back into meditation, I can almost guarantee, Jared, that it won't feel like you're having to squeeze it in. One, because you'll probably want to do more of it. And two, because of the meditation, your nervous system is going to be responding to the world in a different way. So things won't feel so pressurized. Even if you're getting the same amount of stuff done in the day, you're moving through the world, mind, body, energetics in a different way.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not fun to be in sympathetic overdrive, right?
No, no. But again, right, like kind of similar, I feel like, to what you're saying, like not realizing until adrenal fatigue, it can feel like, well, this is just what we do. We just wake up and we go and we're all the things. And it's like, no, no, you don't have to. In order to be, say, a productive, successful, like, right, adult in society, you do not need to be in sympathetic overload all the time.
hmm Yeah, that's true. What so from a an entrepreneur standpoint, within your from a practice standpoint, what's working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating?
Yeah. Well, I would say what's been working well are certainly the therapists and clients and folks that come to me are really loving and resonating with the breath work. So I have a lot of repeat folks coming back to the classes and even like sharing it with their colleagues, and their colleagues are coming, and that type of a thing. So I would say that's really working well. My sort of intention and desire as an aspect of like sort of up leveling my business is to really create a version of like a top down approach to reach therapists, because right now I'm more bottom up, meaning like meeting therapists and having a large community and network that I already have, but kind of growing that, and it kind of being more grassroots word of mouth and, different marketing type of strategies like that. But I'm like, well, BetterHelp and Spring Health and even Kaiser Permanente and right, all of these larger employers of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of therapists. I'm really interested in kind of figuring out a way. I'm in strategy and talking with folks and kind of building out my deck and all that kind of stuff. I will say building out a deck is not my strong suit. Doing those kind of things. But yeah, really kind of somehow like leveraging myself in a way that I can reach the larger employers of therapists to really offer like a low lift yet highly effective employee benefit. Definitely a dream of mine is to really be reaching like thousands and thousands and thousands of therapists on a regular basis, because it is like I was saying earlier, the accumulated stress and trauma that is held in the body. And when we can do something like even like a bi-weekly, every other week breathwork session that helps to just pull and move and release. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is yeah, the successes certainly are that I'm really receiving a lot of positive feedback from the people that are coming and experiencing the classes and the groups and stuff like that. And then my next challenge is really, again, like kind of up leveling, creating like leverage to where I can be reaching a much larger audience.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's great. It's a great goal.
Thank you.
What I guess this kind of ties into that, but well, it does tie into this, I'm sure. But where do you want to be in the next 6 or 12 months from now?
Yeah, it very much does. It very much
Yeah.
does. Yeah, I would love to be connected with with the and have, contracts and relationships with the larger, mental health employers. I also recognize, I was talking with a friend of mine who's a marketer, and she's like, well, maybe start with some of like the mid-level places that, that employ therapists. And I'm like, that's also a good idea. So I think I'll be I'm working a few prong strategy, so to speak. So yeah, so in 6 to 12 months, I would love to be working with the heavy hitters of the employers of mental health professionals, and really being able to offer these. Again, it's low lift, it's pretty darn simple. The therapist shows up for an hour, and the breath work, right? It's active, you're actively working, but it's contained in its own space, and then you can kind of go on with the rest of your life, so to speak. Yet with the breath work, the energy and everything is what has been reached and shifted and moved is still working through the body. So there's continued integration, whether you're fully conscious of it or not. So 6 to 12 months, would love to be reaching thousands and thousands of therapists. Also, my book that was published, called Burn Bright, in 2021, I've recorded the audio book of it, but I'm still in the process of getting the music done. I'm going to have like sound bowl healing to kind of around the meditations and the intros and the outros on that, and then it'll need to be remastered, or fully mastered into a beautiful work of art. So I also intend to have my audiobook fully out there in the world, and then potentially have like a book club type of a thing, for folks that are engaging with the book, but also would like additional support from me, but also kind of from like a larger peer support community around the book, the written one and the audiobook. So those are more or less my goals for 6 to 12 months from now.
Great. Well, yeah, those are amazing goals. That's great. I think is your book just mainly on Amazon, or is that?
It's actually everywhere.
Oh.
Everywhere, Jared. No, but it's pretty much anywhere that books are sold. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles,
Oh.
thrift books. You can go through my website. I can send you a signed copy of the book. So it's pretty out there. It's easy enough to find.
Oh, it literally is everywhere.
Yeah.
If you, again, from your practice standpoint, if you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. I think sort of the lack of recognition that your body is most likely in some version of the or the sympathetic overload, and to, if you can, start paying attention to your body.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, great. Thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
um what so as far as the book goes, and doing the audio, does that just mean that you have a, like, for example, what is it? Audible? It would be
Yeah, so right now, I guess to speak logistically and otherwise. So the book itself was through a publishing company. So they published it and disseminated it, so to speak. In the contract at the beginning, I reserved full rights to the audiobook, which is fantastic, but also means that I'm also fully responsible to create it, produce it, and then get it out into the world. So once it's going to be ready to get out into the world, that's definitely a step that I need to figure out. I would imagine it'll be on Audible. I'll probably have it through my website. But that, Jared, is a slight TBD.
oh, gotcha. Okay. I was just curious. The book process is very interesting to me. Um, I mean, it seems like a ton of work to put a book together, but um, this has been great. Thank you for sharing all your insights. What is the best way for people to reach you? Your website, or?
Yeah, they can. That's a good one. My website, everydaycoherence.com. And I imagine, will you probably have that in like the show notes or something like that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. Because it might be like, there might be like, how do I spell everyday
Yeah.
coherence? But it is everydaycoherence.com. My Instagram is also at everyday coherence. And then my LinkedIn is under my name, Charlene Rymsha, Rymsha.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate having you on and your time and your thoughts and insight.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jared. Thank you. I appreciate you and whoever the heck is listening. Thanks for listening, everyone.